told your friend you're not okay? And tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that.
Hi, how are you doing today? This is Kathy from my sewing practice, and I thought we could chat about a book I've been reading lately. The book I have been reading is called Ahead of the Curve. So what this book is about is fitting. It's written by Jenny Rushmore, and she is the founder of Cashmerette Patterns, of which I don't really know anything about, believe it or not. I mean, I know what they are, but I have not dove into that pattern company myself on a personal level. But I have come to a place where I need to have one more thing in my library. I mean, I only have a library of less than 10 books. And I don't have a good resource for fit. So, I mean, obviously I look up tutorials on YouTube all the time because everyone knows that I like my YouTube. But it's good to have a written source, right? So I was on the lookout, and then she happened to publish this book. And although she had supply issues, I got it rather quickly. So how you source the book is you go to cashmerette.com under shop, and then you purchase the book. If you sign up for a newsletter, you get an additional 10% off patterns, not the book though, which I did indulge. I bought the Calder pants pattern. And $37, I got it right away off the website. I did not see it on Amazon, so I think maybe it's the only place you can get it, okay? And then I set out to read it. So Jenny seems like she's a very comprehensive, thorough person. I mean, if you go to her website, there's everything from sew-alongs to tutorials to sewing kits, and there's I know she has Facebook pages for both the original sizing, and now she's expanded her sizing range to smaller sizes, and I think up a size too, if I recall. She's just got a lot going on. It's like Cashmerette is almost like more of a community than just a pattern company. And I want to say, or quote her, I'm going to read it because this is kind of the essence of where she is coming from, I guess you could say. I figured out I didn't have to change my body to fit the clothes. I could change the clothes to fit my body. And that is a profound statement, isn't it? I know that I have come to a lot of body acceptance, and quite honestly, I'm happier than I've ever been. She also talks about how other emotional aspects of clothing, like how if you feel good and you feel, you look good, you feel good, and you can express your personality. And she also talks about how the amount of ease you like in a cloth is very personal. And I like a lot of ease. It's no unknown fact that I tend to like clothes a little too big. But that's just where I'm comfortable. So after you have the brief introduction, you're going to go in, and like I said, some emotional, things. You're going to go into the measuring part of the book. And she shows you how to measure using herself. And this is one time in the book that she uses photographs. Now, the pages are fabulous. They are nice and thick. And each chapter has like a different color end page. There's going to be three sections, and I'm just going to tell you what they are now. There's going to be the measuring section, the fitting section, which is, the big part of the book, and then there's going to be patterns in the back. So she goes through the fitting, and so you just measure yourself, and then you're done with that section, right? No. She has this reference. I can't remember if I got this in the book, or I think I got it off the website, to be honest with you. But as you can see, you can measure yourself several times, like, whether it's you want to measure yourself like several times in one day to see how it fluctuates, or just measure yourself every time you start a pattern. But she does want you to measure yourself, and she shows you how, and you're going to have to sit some, because you know what? We all get spread when we sit. And so, you know, you don't want a pair of pants that are just good for standing, right? You know, just good for pictures. And she expresses in here too to not automatically size up, because then you're going to get too big of shoulders. So you want to make sure that you start with the correct size. And of course, this book is going to assume that you're going to make a toile. So she has a sizing calculator on her website, which is pretty darn nifty. And then this is the written version of her finished garment measurements. And I will say that's the only thing that confused me about this book. It is so well thought out and all those sorts of things. But you've got to remember on page 24 are your body measurements corresponding to her sizes. And then the finished garment measurements, okay? And I'm going to touch on that again. And as far as her sizing, she doesn't have her own like little cutesy sizing. She has 3 size names, I guess you would call them. So there's a UK size, a US size, and then the EU size. So the UK size, like at the very smallest of this book, is a 16, which corresponds to a 12 in US and 44 in UK. Now, these patterns are just going to be her bigger size range. So the patterns go from a UK 16 to a UK 36. And I'll give you the measurements those in a second, but I also wanted to, while I'm remembering, tell you that they're never going to be available in smaller sizes, and they're never going to be available on the open market. They're just going to be available in this book. And that's the 5 patterns that we'll talk about in a second also. So the sizing starts from a high bust of 37, and everything is in metric and imperial, but I'm going to use just the imperial, okay? Okay, so we're going to start at a high bust of 37 and end with the largest size of a high bust of 57. And then I'm going to give you the full bust measurement for the smallest cup. There are 3 cup sizes, and each cup goes up 1 inch. So the smallest cup, which is called the CD, would start at a size 40-inch full bust to a 60 full bust. Now, this is the only time that Jenny ever says the word bust. She never says breast. She never says bust. It's always boobs. And usually it has the adjective big boobs. So she loves to say the word boobs. Okay, the waist that corresponds is a 32-inch up to a 52-inch, and the hips are 42-inch, and that's up to 62-inch. And then she has the finished garment measurements. And again, she said ease is personal. So find your high bust in the waist and the hips, but you want to defer to that high bust if you're in between sizes. Okay, so after we measure, we're going to go into fitting. And this is the lion's share of the book. And the lion's share of this section is the bodice. The bodice is the blue tipped pages, and there's almost 100 of them. And then after that, we're going to get to our patterns. Now, the patterns are going to be a knit top, a woven top, a knit dress, a woven dress, and then there is a pair of pants. And those are called the Magda pants. And here's an illustration. So I felt like the best place to start was with that woven top, because you know how people will do slopers. I kind of felt like it was creating a sloper for myself. So that's what I did. And the name of the top is called the Curso top. And it's a darted woven V-necked sleeveless top, and it's hits at almost the fold line in your groin. Okay, so and here's a beautiful model in it. So the first thing I did was go to the measurements, and that's where I said I got a little confused, and I even wrote a note to myself to go back to page 24, because I think subconsciously I was thinking these measurements were the body measurements, but they're finished garment measurements there, so don't make the same mistake I did. But I started with a size 12 in the CD, and I felt like it was a little too tight. So I just, and as you can see, this really was a muslin because I didn't finish edges or anything. It was just 2 pieces of fabric. And I think I even created that seam up the front. It doesn't come with the seam. Yeah, that seam up the front's even me. And so it was too small. So I took off that front piece and kept the back piece and then added a different front. And this time I did the same size, which was 12, and then I just went up the next cup size. I still wasn't totally convinced it was the right fit. So when I went to my next garment, I did a size 14 and an EF. And that's this, which is wearable. And because of that size, the length, I'm 5'10", so it's not like I ever shorten things, but it seemed as though the pattern was going to go to the fold in my leg, and I didn't want it that long. I like to wear the high-waisted pants, so I took some length off. And then as you can go to my Friday sews from June 17th, I tell you how I finished this edge and that it does have a half lining. This is how the pattern is written, is how I have this. But I took out some length and then I wanted to put it back in. And I could have lengthened the hem a little bit, but I decided to add this detail of the crochet. And of course, as you can, hear what I'm saying, this is not part of the pattern. The busts are just, having the darted bust is just awesome. And then I added these little ties. Now it does really ride on the bra straps pretty darn good. But if you can see them here, first of all, I'm a little like gape here. This is not her top, this is the Wren top. But then also, if you can see right here, I have broken my clavicle at age 21. So I put those little straps there just to make sure that the bra stayed under it. But you might not need them because it's pretty perfect, to be honest with you. But again, I'm discovering that I just need a little pinch of stuff taken out right here. This is my first rendition of the Wren, but when I made my final garment, I felt like I was a little too big right here. So that's getting to be a common thing. And that is called a gaping neck adjustment. And so I went and looked at that, and I went to make the gaping neck adjustment. And this is it. It's really clever. You just take like a little dart, but you don't sew it. This is just on the pattern. You take some volume out here, and then you transfer that volume into the dart or into the arm. I can't remember which. But I thought it was kind of cool that you don't really take it out. You just transfer the volume. So that was really cool, except for that I messed it up. So I made a fail. And that is, I got confused on my pattern somehow, and I took out the volume here and transferred it to the very place I don't want it. So I made this lovely top out of scraps, thank goodness. And I know that this fabric's kind of see-through. Even though it looks like it wouldn't be, it is. So I fully lined it with this pretty linen, lacy stuff. And you do have to identify the back because it's a little higher than the front. So yeah, it's so cute, but I can't wear it. But that's not Jenny's problem. And that's not Jenny's fault either. So going forward, yeah, I really like the book, and I think that I'd like to try more cashmere patterns. I have tried the Calder pants, but I can't give you a great review on them because I made some adjustments that weren't good. But I have joined the Facebook group, and so that's fun. It's a good community, like a lot of sewer communities are. And what I'm going to make next is going to be the knit top, and that's a raglan top. And I have never made adjustments on a raglan before. And after that, I'll probably do the knit dress. The reason I'm not starting with the knit dress is because it suggests you have a real stable knit like a Ponte, and that's a little warm for me in the summer. But I'm looking forward to that because of the princess seams. So anyway, that's my book review. 2 thumbs up for Jen Rushmore and the Cashmerette Ahead of the Curve. Did I tell you it's available in our website? Yeah, I already told you that. Okay, well, you have a great day and have good fitting.